Hello everyone, and welcome to Box Office Receipts. I'm your host Tyler Callahan, and we got a lot of news to go over with new movies hitting theaters, the end of the Disney proxy fight, the latest on Paramount, and more. So let's start with the domestic top 5. Opening in first place is Godzilla x Kong, A New Empire with $80 million. In second place was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire with $15.7 million. For a total of $73.4 million. Third place was Dune Part 2 with $11.1 million, for a total now of $252.3 million. For a total now of $252.3 million. In fourth place was Kung Fu Panda 4 with $10.2 million, for a total of $151.6 million. And in fifth place was Immaculate with $3.2 million, for a total of $11.1 million. Warner Brothers and Legendary had a fantastic weekend thanks to A New Empire, as it got the second biggest debut of the year and the second biggest debut in the MonsterVerse, only behind the Godzilla that came out back in 2014, which, crazy enough, was just about 10 years ago. So it seems Godzilla, X Kong, and Dune have been following a similar path, a day and date release on HBO Max at the time, and partially due to that, it hindered box office numbers while still doing well considering. Now their sequels have come out and are doing a lot better at the box office. Great wins for Warner Brothers and Legendary. For Sony, they got hit pretty hard with the second weekend drop for Ghostbusters. It dropped 65% compared to its opening weekend. As we talked about it on the last episode, this is a franchise that is more domestic dependent, so if it's dropping this fast already, that's not a good sign. It'll probably still pass 100 million domestic, but it won't go much further than that. And compare that to Immaculate, which held on pretty well, only dropping 39% from its opening weekend. Opening in China in first place was Godzilla x Kong, A New Empire with 43.9 million. In second place was Kung Fu Panda 4 with 5.6 million, for a total of $34 million. Third place was The Pig, the Snake, and the Pigeon with 2.8 million, for a total of $89.2 million. In fourth place was Anatomy of a Fall, which opened to 1.4 million, and with previews is now at 1.8 million. And in fifth place was Dune Part 2 with 1.2 million, for a total of 46.3 million. So yeah, definitely a strong start for Godzilla x Kong over in China. Now taking a look at international numbers, Godzilla x Kong: A New Empire earned $114 million for a worldwide opening weekend of $194 million. This is a strong start for the film, and if it can hold on well, looks like it can pass $500 million at the box office. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire made $11.2 million for a worldwide total of $108.5 million. Kung Fu Panda 4 earned another $43.7 million for a worldwide total now of $347 million. Dune Part 2 earned $18.4 million for a total of $626.1 million worldwide. Also, for Oppenheimer, it earned $2.6 million in Japan in its opening weekend. For news in Hollywood, we do have an update on Paramount, and that is Sherry Redstone. Paramount and Skydance have entered a 30-day exclusive negotiation window in hopes to finalize a deal. Now, obviously, it could still fall apart when it is all said and done, but this is the closest Paramount have gotten to finding a buyer. As for now, how the possible deal would work, the Wall Street Journal is reporting Skydance would buy National Amusements, which owns the controlling shares of Paramount, and then Paramount would then buy Skydance in an all-stock deal. After this news broke, Variety reported that before this happened, Apollo offered to buy all of Paramount for $27 billion in an all-cash deal. However, the special committee set up to deal with offers refused to move forward on it. As for why, that is not clear. But I will say there might be others at Paramount other than Redstone who don't want to see the company broken up and sold off in pieces when bought out. That is something Apollo was likely to do. And this week also saw the end of the Disney proxy fight waged by Nelson Peltz and his company Trian, with the shareholder vote finally happening. The result? They lost, with all 12 Disney board members being re-elected. for CEO Bob Iger. Shareholders voted 94% in favor for him. As for Nelson Peltz, only 31% of shareholders voted for him to have a board seat. In a statement following the vote, Iger had this to say, quote, "I want to thank our shareholders for their trust and confidence in our board and management. With the distracting proxy contest now behind us, we're eager to focus 100% of our attention on our most important priorities, growth and value creation for our shareholders, and creative excellence for our customers." End quote. This wasn't too much of a surprise, to be honest, as it was only toward the end did Pelt and try to offer some ideas that they would like to implement if they got some board seats. But even then, it wasn't anything Disney couldn't already do on their own if they wanted to. Overall, Iger got a vote of confidence from shareholders and is now looking to move the company forward. Hopefully this is the last time Peltz tries to take on Disney. With the proxy fight out of the way and ahead of CinemaCon, Disney is shifting focus to its upcoming lineup of films with release date news. The Mandalorian and Grogu will debut on May 22nd, 2026. So that will be the big Memorial Day film for that year at the box office. The last Star Wars film to do that was Solo, so hopefully this one fares a bit better. Tron Ares is now set to come out October 10th, 2025. From 20th Century Studios, the thriller film The Amateur, starring Rami Malek, has been pushed back. It was going to come out in November, but will now instead come out April 11th next year. The live-action adaptation of Moana is getting pushed back as well, partially due to the fact they haven't started filming yet, and now to move it away from Moana 2. Originally set to come out next summer, it'll now come out July 10th, 2026. Also now coming out summer 2026 is Toy Story 5, which is set for a release date of June 19th. So something to pay attention at the box office for 2026 is that Disney is looking to make a big splash, especially that summer. Assuming there's no more delays, within a 3-month period, we are getting a Star Wars film, a Toy Story film, another live-action adaptation with Moana, and oh yeah, Avengers 5. They're coming for the cash at the box office. Disney's coming. So keep in mind. The Hollywood Reporter broke the news that Beau Willimon has signed on to co-write the script for Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, along with James Mangold, who is also directing. From Searchlight, they announced that A Real Pain will hit theaters on October 18th. This was the film they bought at Sundance, starring Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg, who is also directing as well. In a casting update for a film at Searchlight, Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman have signed on to star in a film called The Roses. This is a remake of a 1989 film called The War of the Roses, and it will be directed by Jay Roach. In exclusive from Deadline, they are reporting that Julia Garner is set to play the Silver Surfer for the upcoming Fantastic Four film. Specifically, they mention Shalabal as the specific version of the Surfer. I gotta be honest, I've heard of the Silver Surfer, but I didn't know there were different versions. Taking that aside, she's a great actress, so I like the choice. Another week, another first look deal at Amazon MGM Studios. They have signed Jake Gyllenhaal's production company 9 Stories to a first look deal lasting 3 years. It'll be for any narrative features they want to produce for theaters or for streaming. This makes sense because if Roadhouse is as big as a hit that Amazon is saying it is, you're going to want to try and keep Gyllenhaal around a bit if you can. It looks like Denis Villeneuve has found a new film. Deadline broke the news that Legendary have bought the rights to adapt a nonfiction book called Nuclear War: A Scenario. Written by Annie Jacobson, it is about a scenario on what if nuclear war actually happened, with it based on interviews with experts. As for Legendary, the expectation right now is Villeneuve will work on this after Dune Messiah, so it is a long way off. But hey, as a big Villeneuve fan, I'm there day one to watch. Over in India, Z Entertainment Enterprises will be laying off around 15% of their staff as they focus on streamlining their organization structure. Hopefully everyone affected by these cuts are able to land on their feet soon. Sadly, we did have a few deaths this week. Cole Brings Plenty has died at the age of 27. The cause of death is unknown, but he had been reported missing after he was a suspect in a domestic violence case. He starred in the TV show 1923. Jean-Paul Vignon has died at the age of 89 due to liver cancer. He was a French actor and vocalist who was the French narrator in the film 500 Days of Summer, as well as TV shows including Days of Our Lives and Gilmore Girls. Adrian Schiller died at the age of 60. He was an actor who appeared in shows and films including The Last Kingdom, Raised by Wolves, and the live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast. Bruce Kessler has died at the age of 88 after a brief illness. He was a prolific TV show director, working on shows including Mission Impossible, The A-Team, and Chips, among others. Joe Flattery died at the age of 82 after a brief illness. He was an actor, comedian, and writer who appeared in films and shows including Freaks and Geeks, Happy Gilmore, and The King of Queens. David Barrington died at the age of 79 due to cancer complications. He helped make the Henson Performance Control System, which allows a single performer to operate complex puppets. And following up from last week, the cast of Gen V released a joint statement on social media as a tribute to the death of their co-star Chance Perdomo. The statement reads, quote, "Our hearts are with Chance's loved ones as we grieve the shocking loss. We will remember the special moments we had together, his infectious smile that could light up any room, his warm hugs, and the authenticity he carried with him always. Rest in peace, dear friend. You will be deeply missed. Love, the Gen V cast." End quote. Thoughts and prayers to their families during this time, and may they rest in peace. And also, fuck cancer. For casting updates, Deadline broke the news that Daniel Wu is joining the film With Love at Universal. The film stars Ke-Huy Quan and Ariana DeBose. At Warner Brothers, they're starting early development on a new Matrix film and have hired Drew Goddard to write as well as direct. Lana Wachowski will be an executive producer. Now, as for how this came about, Jesse Ehrman said Drew came to him with an idea for a new Matrix film that they loved and wanted to make. Goddard has written scripts for numerous films including World War Z, The Martian, as well as wrote and directed The Cabin in the Woods and Bad Times at El Royale. And in an exclusive from Deadline, they were reporting that Craig Gillespie is in talks to direct Supergirl. Gillespie has previously directed other films, including I, Tonya, Cruella, and recently, Dumb Money. Deadline is also reporting that Jack O'Connell is set to star in the untitled film from Ryan Coogler as the villain. Right now it stars Michael B. Jordan as the lead. We start off VOD Premium with Netflix, where there is a showrunner change for the last 2 seasons of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Albert Kim, who ran season 1, will be stepping down, and Christine Bolan and Jabbar Razani will take over for seasons 2 and 3. Kim will, however, be staying around as a executive producer. As for why the switch, Variety reports it is due to Kim wanting to work on other projects. In an exclusive from Variety, they announced that Ryan Hurst is joining the cast for Kurt Stutter's latest show, The Abandons. He previously was a main cast member on one of Sutter's previous shows, Sons of Anarchy. As for what is new to watch on Netflix, you have the film Scoop that is about the BBC interview with Prince Andrew. It stars Billy Piper, Rufus Sewell, and Gillian Anderson. There's also a new limited series called Ripley, starring Andrew Scott. AMC released a sneak peek at the upcoming second season of the Daryl Dixon spin-off show. For the second season, it is now called The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, and I'm sorry, that's just way too long of a title. Seriously. Anyway, there's no release date yet, but AMC did say it will premiere sometime this summer. Considering the first season premiered last September, I would say August at the earliest for the second season. The hit show over in the UK that made waves will soon be available to watch in the United States. PBS has picked up the rights for Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. It'll be available to watch on PBS Masterpiece starting April 7th. Amazon says Roadhouse has been a record-breaking hit for them on Prime Video. The remake starring Jake Gyllenhaal has gotten 15 million views over its first 2 weekends, making it a new record, as Amazon calls it, quote, most watched produced film debut ever on a worldwide basis, end quote. And look, the main caveat to this is Amazon did not clarify how much someone had to watch for it to count as a view. Are we talking someone watched 5 minutes and it counts? 10 minutes? 30 minutes? Still, while this stat is a bit muddled due to lack of supporting information. The fact that Amazon released any statement at all, I think, means it is doing well. Typically for streaming, if a show or film is not doing well, streamers will try to just not talk about it and move on. Variety is exclusively reporting that Amazon plans to submit Mr. and Miss Smith in the drama categories at the Emmys. That is worth pointing out because since they are not submitting it as a limited series, I assume they have plans to do a second season. That wouldn't be surprising as it did well on Prime Video and it got good reviews, so I assume they want to do one. On Apple TV Plus, a new series called Sugar is now out. This is a crime drama series starring Colin Farrell as a private investigator in Los Angeles. So far, it has gotten good reviews from critics, with it at a 67 on Metacritic and 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. At Max, the second season finale of Tokyo Vice is now available to watch. Possibly series finale, we'll see. And again, if you haven't watched the show, highly recommend it. Definitely worth a watch. HBO have casted their leads for the next Game of Thrones spin-off show, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the Hedge Knight. Peter Claffey will play the role of Sir Duncan Nuttall, and Dexter Saul Ansel will play his squire, Egg. Studio Canal have hired MK Kennedy to be their new head of TV, with her official title being Executive Managing Director of TV Series. She was previously at Netflix as a vice president of production for Europe. While she was at the streamer, she worked on films including All Quiet on the Western Front, Society of the Snow, as well as TV shows including Lupin and Berlin. In exclusive from Variety, they broke the news that Disney is licensing out a few more shows in the UK. They have reached a deal with UK TV, owned by BBC Studios. As for the shows that will air on their channels over the next year, it includes Sons of Anarchy, A Small Light, The Company You Keep, and Alaska Daily. So nothing huge. A lot of these based on the United States, like Sons of Anarchy was a big FX show, and I believe The Company You Keep and Alaska Daily were like ABC shows. So again, nothing huge. Again, the biggest is Sons of Anarchy, which has been over now for years. All shows mentioned will still be available to watch on Disney Plus as well. And in an interview with CNBC, CEO Bob Iger mentioned that the password crackdown will start sometime in June, with a bigger rollout starting in September. Lastly, we finish up with the Nielsen Top 10 for the week of March 4th to the 10th. Overall, in first place was Love is Blind with 1.49 billion minutes watched. In second place was the Netflix movie Damsel with 1.209 billion minutes watched. And in third place was The Gentleman with 1.205 billion minutes watched. For streaming original top 10, noticeably Avatar The Last Airbender came in third with 950 million minutes watched, and Shogun came in seventh with 382 million minutes watched. And that's it for this week's episode of Box Office Receipts. If you want to follow me on Threads, Instagram, or X, links to those are in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.